When considering teenagers becoming pregnant, there are a lot of risks that come with that. And that's something that is very important, but you might be wondering what those risks are and why do they matter? Well, let's talk about that. Hey everyone, my name is Marty Mandak, and I'm the Education Director and Prison Specialist here at My Choice Education. And today I want to talk to you about teen risk when it comes to pregnancy. So in the child development course that we teach, one of the things that we talk about is just this idea of the reality of risk when it comes to getting pregnant in your teenage years. And so this video in and of itself, there might be a lot of statistics or at least information thrown at you, and I'm going to kind of tie it all in at the very end. But first and foremost, I just want to throw it out to you that teen pregnancy is a reality. It's something that happens, and typically, you might wonder, why are there numbers like 8 and 10 teen pregnancies are unplanned? That's a national statistic, and if you think about it, at least whenever I was a teenager, I'm thinking back, or just people that I knew. When you're in your relationship at the very beginning, when you first start dating someone, it's very intentional in the sense of you're very careful about everything that you do. And then when you start to engage in like the physical aspect of the relationships, I can imagine that most teenagers are probably very, very careful in those beginning stages, especially when it comes to different types of contraceptives. I'm sure they're very very down to the detail, like, are we making sure we are being as careful as possible so that we don't get pregnant or we don't get STDs or things like that. But as the relationship moves forward and the more comfortable you get with that person, your mindset and all of those details and making sure that you're being as careful as possible tend to kind of, I don't want to say diminish completely, but they're not really as important as they were in the beginning of the relationship. You become more relaxed when it comes to certain things. And a lot of times that's what typically would lead to then these unplanned pregnancies, is that we've just become lax in the steps that we used to take in order to ensure that this would not happen. And so all of that to say, there are a lot of risks involved in when you become pregnant as a teenager. First and foremost, I just kind of want to mention, if you think about it, as a teenage girl who's pregnant, your body is not done growing at that point. Your body is developing, even your brain in and of itself is not done developing until you're 25 years of age. But there's a lot of development that happens in the teenage years when it comes to your body, the physical nature of who you are. And if pregnancy occurs, well, now you're not only focusing on growing your own body, you're focusing on growing something else too. So there's like this pull, there's this split between like what development should take priority for what's happening in and of inside and outside of me, so to speak. So neurologically, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, there's all sorts of development when it comes to holistically that kind of are put on pause or hold, and you got to focus on growing this baby now. And so all of that to be said, there are still a ton of risks that come with that in regards to being a teenager and being pregnant. And I just want to kind of highlight some of them. It can lead to all kind of potential risks. One of the most common ones is just this idea of a low birth rate, and this is because of organ development issues. This is because of respiratory distress syndrome. There's different things like vision loss, low birth weight, premature birth. So having your baby, before it is considered full term. And if you want to know more about that, there are other videos that you can check out about the fetal development and when exactly a baby's full term and all of that. So, but when a baby is born prematurely, or when it has a low birth weight or different things like that, that just kind of adds into even more risk for different things for mom and baby. There's things like mental retardation and cerebral palsy, and even SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome. There's different respiratory problems. There's a lot of things that can happen when the baby does not make it full term, and it's just risks that definitely need to be considered when it comes to when it comes to making these decisions before you're even pregnant, right? Because if there's higher risk for some of these things in your teenage years, well, then that's the more motivation for you to not want to be pregnant in your teenage years. Putting everything else aside as far as like school and, your friends and the things that you want to do and accomplish in life, which there's a video for that for another time, the whole life planning, life mapping thing. But just the physical aspect in and of itself, there's a lot of risk that comes with that. And so these are the types of things that you need to be considering when engaging or considering engaging in sexual activity as a teenager. And just to kind of add into this, to kind of keep the conversation going, there's also risk of, even once you become pregnant, if you continue to have sex, engaging in sexual activity, you could potentially contract an STD at some point. And STDs during pregnancy, that just throws in that's like a completely different curveball that's being thrown at you now. I mean, most STDs can cause complications during pregnancy. And I'm not going to go into every single one with all the details. I'll just kind of list some of the things that could potentially happen with that. You could be forced to have a cesarean section because some STDs, for example, like herpes, you cannot give a vaginal delivery if you have an active case of herpes. They automatically do cesarean section. And so, is a C-section necessarily bad? I mean, no, a lot of people get C-sections for different reasons, but I mean, it's still a major surgery. And so that's something that is a serious thing to consider. Premature birth. Again, STDs can actually cause your baby to come prematurely. Premature rupture of the uterine membrane, which can lead to early birth and things like that. There's infant infections. So actually these STDs can be passed from mom to baby. So basically what I'm trying to say in this video when talking about teen risk in regards to pregnancy and child development and just your own personal, physical, intellectual, emotional, social, spiritual, holistic development is just this idea of considering risk before you act. That's kind of like the coup de grace of what we do here at My Choice, is try to just get you to reconsider your decisions by thinking about the risks that could come from the decisions you make. Not that necessarily will happen, but things that can happen. And it's not a scare tactic. It's not like we're trying to force you to not do things. It's your decision to make, but you should make the most informed decision possible. And if there's higher risk for different things towards you and potentially the baby that you end up having to give birth to because you become pregnant, well, I would want to know that stuff. I would want to know all of the risks before I, and this is kind of a far-fetched example, but I think about jumping out of an airplane, to go skydiving. Obviously, it's something that is a risky thing to do, and I want to know everything that could possibly go wrong, not necessarily everything that, if I do everything right, it's just going to be the greatest time of my life, right? But I want to know the risk, and I think that that's what this portion of this curriculum is about, is just to inform you, right? I don't want you to think that, okay, well, I understand all these risks now, and I'm watching this video, and I am one of those people that I just found out I'm pregnant, and you're basically telling me it's hopeless. It's not. First and foremost, we have medical clinics that would be able to help you, educate you. By the way, these are risks. These aren't guarantees. This doesn't mean if you are a teenager and you become pregnant, you're absolutely going to experience all of these things. It's just stuff that could potentially happen, and it's a higher chance of it happening. That's all. Just trying to keep you educated. I'm trying to empower you to say that you don't have to experience any of these risks because you have the power to make the right decision before any of this stuff even happens. And then I want to equip you with this idea of the mental knowledge and just the resources that you have at your fingertips. Stuff like the My Choice Plus app, stuff like the My Choice Medical Clinics, the My Choice Education. You can follow My Choice Education on Instagram. You can do all of these things to just kind of stay up to date on this information and increase your ability to just, okay, I have all the knowledge I need to make the best possible decision. So, and the last thing I want to just leave you with before we kind of end this video is I just want you to picture your life where you are right now. As a teenager, if you're watching this, even if you're an adult, I want you to just do this, okay? I want you to picture life now, and then I want you to picture your life with a kid, an unplanned pregnancy, and I just want you to imagine what are some of the major things in your life that would be affected by that. You think about things like finances, your anxiety might go up, your home situation, is the dad present, or if you're the dad, does the mom want you to be involved in this? your diet, your social life, your education, your future, all of these things. Again, I'm not saying that this situation is hopeless. What I'm trying to paint with this brush, so to speak, I'm trying to get you to imagine the difference that this will make in your life. And what I really want you to just think for a second is, if I'm not there, what do I want to accomplish, and what do I want to go after, and what decisions do I need to make in order to get there? There's a different video for that. If you can definitely view that, about life planning and life mapping. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to start that conversation and get you to start thinking about these things, but also, again, to just address you first and foremost that you are an individual. You are not a statistic. You are not someone that this is automatically going to happen to. And if you are someone that is pregnant or was a teenager and had your baby as a teenager, you understand at least the risks that came from that. Not saying that you suffered through anything, and maybe you came out on the other end stronger than before, but you understand that it was difficult. And maybe you're the type of person that would just advocate, just like we do, that, hey, although I love my child and I would do anything for them, it's definitely worth waiting, that sort of thing. So hopefully something in this video grabbed your attention about risk, about teen pregnancy. It's not something that we're just trying to bog down. This is kind of like the buzzkill video that's just like, it's a lot of heavy information. I just want you to assess the risk. I want you to really think about what's best for you in this stage of your life. And then I want you to go out and I want you to make smart choices that will help support where you are in life and where you're heading.